President Trump, of course, has vowed to do things differently, and he certainly lived up to that again today at his cabinet meeting. The president began with the typical opening statement. Then things changed big league. Nearly every cabinet member spoke and seemed to praise the boss quite strongly.
Just the greatest privilege of my life, and it's to serve as vice president to a president who's keeping his word to the American people.
And it's an honor to be able to serve you in that regard. You set the exact right message.
President, what an incredible honor it is to lead the Department of Health and Human Services at this pivotal time under your leadership. I can't thank you enough for the privilege that you've given me.
I want to thank you for getting this country moving again and also working again.
It was a great honor traveling with you around the country for the last year, and an even greater honor to be here serving in your cabinet.
On behalf of the entire senior staff around you, Mr. President, we thank you for the opportunity and the blessing that you've given us to serve your agenda and the American people.
Well, joining us now are CNN senior political analyst David Axelrod, a veteran of the Obama White House, and also former Congressman Mike Rogers, who served as chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. It is a blessing to have you both here. David, I mean, how unusual is that? I mean, you were...
Well,
I mean, is that what happens?
I would say
it was the first full cabinet meeting, so is it normal to just have...
It is not unusual if you live in North Korea. But here in the U.S., that is very unusual. I attended cabinet meetings. I've never seen anything like that. Usually the president gives a short statement to the pool spray that's there. They leave, and then there's business, and you go through the cabinet, and the cabinet reports on the business that they're doing. But this, you know, look, you have an embattled president who wants to change the narrative, and he enlisted his cabinet to do that. And but I think at some expense to them, because they look so servile that it was absurd.
Chairman Rogers, do you see it in the same way? I mean, did it strike you as odd?
Odd and a bit clumsy. Matter of fact, it reminds me of that old Will Rogers saying, it's like that feeling you get when a baby gets a hold of a hammer. It just feels really, really odd. You're not supposed to laugh at my jokes. It's really
funny. I hadn't heard that.
But I will tell you, the one thing that bothered me about it is that the adulation. This was their first big formal cabinet meeting, which is normally a substantive meeting that you would hope gets onto a more substantive conversation. But this whole thing, it just seems so clumsy. If they were going to do it, and adulation is a big part of American politics. You see it every day on the House floor. They say, you know, Mr. Speaker, and my great and good friend on the other side of the aisle, who I will proceed to, you know, rip their face off here in a few minutes. This has all been part of politics, but what was a little odd about this today was it was clearly scripted, and it was a very clumsy way about saying, hey, no problems here, we're doing great things. It just didn't rise to the level of a presidential appearance, not only for the cabinet, but for the president himself.
Well, it's interesting, David, particularly that we've now had Director Comey testify under oath that he was asked for personal loyalty to the president, allegations that, you know, similar things have been made to others as well. I mean, no one pledged loyalty here directly to President Trump, but it came close to that of sort of fealty and honor. And
yes, it was like a competition to see who could be more obsequious. And so, yes, you know, when the president says, well, why, I wouldn't think of asking people for loyalty pledges, but this was, in a sense, asking for a loyalty pledge and asking them to parade in front of the cameras and offer testimonials. It was an embarrassing thing. The thing that interests me the most was the one cabinet member who was most muted in his comments was General Mattis, the defense secretary, who I think has a real sense of propriety and institutional...
He praised service members,
right,
but not the president.
Yes, which was a departure from everyone else. I think he was the only one who emerged with his dignity.
Chairman Rogers, I want to play a clip of something that Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer tweeted out shortly after the president's cabinet meeting.
I want to thank everybody for coming. I just thought we'd go around the room. Lucy, how'd we do on the Sunday show yesterday?
Your tone was perfect. You were right on message.
Michelle, how'd my hair look coming out of the gym this morning?
You have great hair. Nobody has better hair than you.
Before we go any further, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity and blessing to serve your agenda.
That's great.
I mean, when Chuck Schumer is, scoring laughs by putting out videos, that's not, that's not what you want to have happen after the first cabinet meeting, I guess.
No, it's not a great thing, but I'm not convinced that that hasn't happened in a Chuck Schumer staff meeting along the way. I will say, again, the whole thing is just so odd, and it wouldn't be necessarily odd. I do think if you're going to come and be a change agent, you have to mix things up. It's always going to be a little hard. But this was so misplaced, and the timing of it so, I think, just poor. And as I said, it's almost sophomoric in the way that we're going to show the world that we're all getting along and we just love our president. We can't wait to get up every day and work for him. You would expect that anyway for them taking the oath of office to do those important jobs. And it just didn't look that serious to me, and it looked so odd. I thought, this is a terrible way to try to correct your problem. Why don't you have a staff meeting and then come out with some great proposals and work with Congress to get something done in a meaningful way? That will go so much further than these kind of, I don't know what you call them.
Well, I'll leave it there. Mike Rogers, thank you very much. David Axelrod as well. Coming up next.